If the Supreme Court decides presidents have blanket immunity, what's to stop Biden from using it to his advantage? Presidents currently do have blanket immunity. At least it was understood they did. It is only now that notion is being challenged. Drone striked a wedding and assassinated an American citizen and his son, and invited a certain group of people to the WH for a pat on the back during major civil unrest they were involved with. Once we say there isn't blanket immunity based on whether or not the POTUS was liked or not, it can lead to a pretty slippery slope. They won't though. That was never the goal and the last thing they want. G's the case out for months, even years, ensuring that there is no justice before the November election, giving Trump a chance to win the election, and then stop the federal cases cold or pardon himself. He's not Trump. Look, you've spent your entire life in a world where the Supreme Court has been making law and worrying about precedent. The conservative wing of the court is not acting in good faith. Biden-Trump did the exact same thing, and they couldn't find any difference. They'd still rule for Trump and against Biden because, I don't know, because Biden's name comes first in the alphabet. Immunity for official acts would make coup attempts like January 6 more likely and more violent going forward. Who defeated him poses a grave threat to the Constitution, and as such assassinating him before he could take office falls under his official duties to defend the Constitution against a domestic enemy. Don't worry. I'm sure the Supreme Court is aware of this possibility, which is why they'll find a way to declare it permissible that Trump did it, but not if Biden does. Or they'll ensure that there's some legal framework to ensure anything Biden tries to do is held up in courts long enough to delay it until after the election. The argument the defense is making is that a sitting president must be impeached and then convicted by the Senate in order to be held liable for breaking the law. As long as the Republican Party controls the House, it could impeach Biden. A harder part is getting the conviction in the Democratic-held Senate. See, premise though is that if the court is going to decide the presidents have full immunity, they are going to wait till after the election to announce that decision so it doesn't affect Biden this term. Or they will make another stupid exception about how it doesn't apply overall, but just in this one case. Nothing. Not to be overdramatic, but it will be the end of the American experiment. You stop being a British colony to get away from a tyrannical autocrat, the king. And if you allow any president this amount of power, then you've just invited the next tyrannical autocrat to step up. It seems like an interesting strategy to me to argue that presidents can get away with anything when your guy is no longer in charge. In theory, could Biden, say, order Trump be deported? Or have the IRS seize the assets of conservative super PACs? Nothing really. Which is what makes it ridiculous. Are Republicans eager for a king now? I didn't know they were so eager to get on their knees and give up their freedoms. But guess they love the taste of orange tea too much. You mean like when Biden assassinated people? Or when Biden and Obama weaponized the FBI and DOJ against Biden's presidential opponent? You fucking partisan assholes all need to be euthanized. We've been doing just fine for the last 250 years without having to ask this question. It's kinda already known until Trump shows up, and now we're asking this question. Goes to show what he's about. The problem here is that this SCOTUS knows Biden won't do that. That's why I bet it will be a super tailored ruling only impacting this specific instance, or at least they will try. Nothing. Biden's morality is intrinsically motivated rather than defined by extrinsic factors, like the fear of prosecution or punishment to stop him from committing crimes. So, they won't rule on it until after the election. If Biden wins, then president doesn't have blanket immunity. If Trump wins, they'll rule he does have blanket immunity. I can't even imagine being a Supreme Court judge and voting for a president's right to kill me without repercussion. Biden orders the dissolution of the Supreme Court, installs new judges to reinstitute the law of the land. If the Supreme Court decides presidents have blanket immunity, and Biden can legally have Trump killed, like selling influence through his crackhead son and scumbag brother, That's a brain teaser, all right. A past v. present argument for establishing immunity definition with limitations moving forward. I don't think people realize how serious this is. This is bordering on behavior of a dictator. Biden could just kill the corrupt Supreme Court justices and replace them. Problem solved. The fact that Biden's a punk and wouldn't actually wield power to stop a fascist takeover. Please note, Uncle Joe has ethics, and my opinion he would follow his heart and religion. Trump's lawyers are arguing that Biden has the right to order Trump's assassination. If Biden wins, then 9-0 president has no immunity. If Trump wins 5-4, say he does nothing, which is one of many reasons it cannot be allowed for any ex-president. Can a president kidnap the Supreme Court when he wants to demand compliance? Nothing, which gives him the opportunity to do the funniest things possible. To bleeding heart leftists that would clutch pearls at any abuse of power. Biden lacks capacity. Therefore, he is unable to make good own decisions. The fact that they will not issue a ruling until after the election. Nothing. Biden could shoot every Republican dead if he wanted to. 51 of the House and 66 of the Senate to impeach and convict. So Trump could be elected and convicted, then pardon himself. Biden still living in the bliss of 90s post-Cold War America.